Well, hello and welcome to the new year and a new Halloween and holiday Addicts Anonymous. From now on, we'll be known as Ha. So I hope that gives you a grin. Anyway, for the month of February, we are going to do a quick and easy project on an 11.5-inch heart shape that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I wanted to make this first one a surface that you could get easily locally. And if you have a different size heart, you're welcome to enlarge or reduce the pattern to fit your surface. And that is always the case with any of my designs. If you have a surface that you have in your stash that you want to use, then feel free. Enlarge and reduce that pattern to fit your surface, because goodness knows we all have ourselves a giant supply of surfaces that we need to use. Anyway, so we are going to start with this. This is going to be called I'd Melt for You. And since Halloween Addicts Anonymous is now including holidays, gives me a little bit more freedom to design for the current season. And so this is going to be for Valentine's Day. And what we want to do first is we want to give this background a coat of baby pink plus warm white. So what I want to do is I want to give myself a puddle of baby pink. Haven't used pink in a while. Probably a little bit more. And then I want to do about half that size of a puddle for warm white. That didn't sound very good, but oh well, it was just the paint bottle. And I'm going to get out a fairly large brush. Use the biggest flat brush you have. I'm just going to mix this with my brush. I don't want to bother with a palette knife and all that stuff. And it doesn't have to be mixed, completely all the way. We just need to mix it up. And so then we just need to go back and give our heart a coat of this baby pink plus warm white. And it should cover in one coat. So once you get that done, you're going to want to let it dry, of course, and then sand it so you get a nice smooth painting surface. We'll be applying the pattern for just the background stripes to begin with. So that's a little heads up. So I will see you when this coat is dry and I've got it sanded and I've got the pattern on for my stripes. All right. Okay, just a little hint here. When you're putting the pattern on for those lines and leaves, you don't have to trace the whole leaf on. We're just going to use a filbert brush to do those. So just put a little line down the center of each leaf so you know where they go. And then you also want to put the pattern on for your snowman, because there's no sense in painting lines and leaves where it's going to get covered up by your little snowman. All right? So I'm going to go back to putting this pattern on and I'll be returning. All right, so I know that this is really hard to see on the camera, but I do have the pattern on for the lines, the slashes for where the leaves are going to go, and I have the pattern on for the snowman and his scarf. I didn't put the pattern on for his face because we have to build our snowman before we can give him a face. And so one of the first things we're going to do is we are going to get out some warm white. Maybe. And you need a liner brush. Let's see. I haven't painted in so long I didn't remember where I put my brushes. So let's see. I don't need that one. let's get our liner brush. So this is a King Art liner brush, and it's a 2-aught liner. And what I want to do first is I want to line those stripes. Now if you're anal and want those stripes to be really, really straight, what you can do is you can tape it off, and then you can line right next to it. Okay, so you are going to thin your paint down to liner consistency. And of course I'm going to use my flow improver for that. I use it for floating and lining, and it just makes things move a little faster, a little better, a little longer. So I'm thinning my paint down using my flow improver, and I'm going to come along and just give myself a line of warm white. And I don't want it to stand out a whole lot. This is the background, so it doesn't have to stand out a whole lot. Okay, nice line there, right? I don't know if you can see it. So now I'm going to I'll go ahead and use this piece of tape on the other short side. And just tape that off. And load my brush again. And give myself a nice line of warm white. I kind of ran out of paint, so I'll just go. I'm going to touch off the bulk of the paint instead of coming straight to the line. That way it's not real dark or, light in that place. Okay, so nice faint lines. Let's get this other. Let's see, I have one here. I'm going to tape off. But if you're not anal and you don't care, you can just wing it and line those lines free-handed. And I thought, I'm going to start the year off neat and clean, and we'll see how long that lasts. So just a nice line of warm white. Probably play you some music while I finish doing these. Oops, I went right through the scarf. That'll be okay. Alright, and there's one more here. We'll do this guy. Almost done with the lines. 2 more to do. And they're getting a little thicker. It happens. Too much caffeine today. I can see me shaking. No more caffeine. All right. See, they're not perfect, but they're not in your face. So let's see. There's one here, kind of above the snowman's head. Shorter. That's always nice, shorter. And then there's another one that comes here. That kind of comes out of the snowman's head too. All right. So there we go. We got those nice lines there. So now what I need to do is I need to get out a number 4. Oh, I don't know what that is. That's not what I need. I think I need a number 4 filbert. It's a 6. Here's a 4. And so I need to clean my filbert real quick. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we're going to be working with warm white again. And I'm going to get just a hair closer. And here's where you're going to want to pay attention to those little hash marks that you made. I'm thinking, let's thin down our warm white again. And we're going to put on those leaves that go next to those lines. And you should be able to do it with your filbert. There you go. That one's a little wonky, but oh well, it'll do the job. And so I'm going to go down okay. I think I can see all my hash marks. And my leaves are a little wonky, but it's the background, so it'll be okay. But you see, they're kind of, they're very, what do I want to say? I don't want to say see-through. They're not opaque. You don't want them to be opaque. They're just something to add some interest to the background. Surprisingly, I didn't use Punchinello. But I wanted to give something kind of Valentine-y on the background. And if you don't have a 4, you could use like a 6. It would be okay. And I'm just kind of giving it the hint of a leaf right there. Okay. And so the next row, they face the other way. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the row that's next to the center. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and that your new year is starting out on the right foot. Well, that's a very wonky one, but no fear. We have a flat brush with some water on it that will just clean that up pretty. Okay. So I will continue to film this so you can watch it, but I'll probably just add some music so you're not too bored watching me. Let's see, there's some down here. This is a rather old filbert brush, so that's why I'm having to fix the strokes a little bit. Filbert brushes kind of go bad on you fairly quickly. I don't know why, but they just do. But you can always buy a new one, right? Or learn to work with the ones you have. Now I am going a little bit into the snowman's head just so I can get that one leaf in there. Just remember to keep it watered down and very transparent as you can get it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the leaves on the other side, and they line up right next to these leaves. They're not staggered, okay? If you want to do them staggered, you can. It's your piece. Whatever you want. And if you don't want to do them at all, that's okay too. Might look nice if you took some, got some cute little Valentine background tissue and decoupaged it on there. Save you a whole lot of work. We're going to do all this work and then we're going to cover it up. I'm not exactly sure why that went wacko on me, but it's a new year. You never know what's going to work and what isn't. Now I'm going to work on the ones that are facing the opposite way. Basically, it's the same thing. So I'm going to do those and I'll be back. All right. So there we have our nice subtle little background on. You know me, I can't do anything without doing some dry brushing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry brush some warm white in between these rows, just to brighten up that center, the center of it a little bit. It's not a lot, just enough to change the color a little bit and lighten it up. All right, so get out your favorite brush that you like to dry brush with. I still like these Langnickel short round sables, but I have been known to use some other ones too, so you never know what you might find listed in my pattern packet. A little bit over here. It doesn't take a whole lot just to pop up and brighten in between those lines a little bit. If you don't have a favorite way to dry brush, you can always visit my YouTube channel, and there's a video, a short one actually, that tells you how I like to dry brush and how I use these brushes. So if you haven't dry brushed in a while, or you don't like the way you do it, it doesn't turn out quite the way you like it, and maybe give that a try. On that video, you'll see me dry brushing pumpkins. Almost there. All right. Okay, so that brightened it up a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we are going to float some shading all the way around the outside edge of this heart to start with. And you can avoid this little area where the snowman is. You don't need to darken that up. And we're going to use royal fuchsia to do that. And what I want you to do, and this is what I want you to do, I can't make you do it though. I would like you to use as large a brush as you feel comfortable with to float with. The larger the brush you use, the wider the float is going to be. And so we want a nice, soft, wide float around here. This is a 3/4 inch. Again, it's a King Art Radiant, and it's a 3/4 inch. And of course, I'm going to use my flow improver in place of my clear water to soften that float. Now, you want to soften that a whole lot. You don't want a nice, it wouldn't be nice, you don't want a really heavy float of royal fuchsia. So see, just keep it nice and soft. There. So all the way around the heart until you get to the snowman. Which is quite a ways here. Down to about there, almost to the point. And then I'm going to go and work on the other side. This one is going to start right next to where the snowman is and come around the top. It's not your normal colors to do with this snowman, but you know what? It's going to be for February, so it doesn't matter. Now you can drop down to a little bit smaller flat brush. We are going to float some of this royal fuchsia shading around the snowman also. So I'm going to use, this is a Dynasty Black Gold. I don't want that one. Let's see. I can probably do it with my 1/2 inch from King Art. The Dynasty Black Gold I picked up with a 3/4 inch, and that wasn't dropping down to anything. So a nice 1/2 inch, and we're just going to float some soft shading with royal fuchsia around our snowman. Now, I like to use mop brushes to soften my floats, especially when you have little V areas. And it doesn't have to be perfect around the snowman because we're going to be smooshing him in and it's going to go off the edge a little bit, so don't worry about it too much. It's always easier though to do this shading before you do any painting on your whatever you're shading around. Okay. See, his head got a little wonky there, but it'll be okay. I can fix it. And so can you. Around this heart. And we have to go all the way around this, the tails on the scarf. All right. Just a little bit of separation here on the scarf. And I'm going to go ahead and finish that little piece in a minute when that is dry. It doesn't have to be completely dry. Okay, I've got it around my scarf, and I'm going to finish off his little body. So if this area here turns dark pink, it's okay. It's just fine. All right. Cool. I think we're making some progress. So what we're going to do now is we are going to stipple in or smoosh our snowmen in. And smooshing is just how I like to do snowmen. It's like stippling, but you leave more paint in your brush than you do when you normally stipple. Normally when you stipple, you load your brush and you pounce it off on your palette a whole lot. I don't do that. I go with, I load my brush and then go to the piece and start stippling in my snowman. So he's going to be with warm white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start setting in his head. So I'm going to, and the edges should be kind of fluffy. So this was the part where I kind of got his head a little wonky. So I'm going to straighten that out now. But see, I'm leaving little, it's like fluffy edges for my snowman. Okay. And if you painted snowmen with me before, then you know how to do this and you'll be an old pro. And normally my snowmen start out blue because that will give them the look of being cold. But I didn't want to bring in a blue on this if I didn't need to. So I think we're going to be okay with our little pink background on our snowman. So this is a size 14 of the Langnickel Short Round Sable, which is what I use to dry brush, and I use it to do my snowmen. Of course, if you had a bigger one, a bigger brush, it'd go a lot quicker. Okay, so this is going to take a little while. So just be patient and build your snowman. One good thing about this snowman is you don't get cold. You don't have to go outside. Okay, oh, he's looking pretty cute already, if I say so myself. And of course, I'm the only one talking, so I can say so. So you can still see some of the pink background through there, and it's not solid and opaque, and that's exactly the way you want it. You don't want it to be solid, then we could have just as well painted it in. And of course you can do that if you want. Who am I to tell you what to do? All I'm telling you is what I did. Okay. Oh, almost got his head done. Okay, so there we go. It's got a nice fuzzy head. So now I'm actually going to work on the bottom part of his body first because I want the middle part to sit on top of the bottom. Okay, and it's just easier to do it this way. And again, make sure those edges are fluffy like a snowman. And after a while you get the hang of it. It doesn't take quite as long. Okay, almost done with the bottom. I think I'll take this a little bit further out there. Okay. All right, and now let's get to our middle. What I like about these brushes is you can pretty much smoosh or stipple on along a straight edge, so that makes it nice. And you're going around like a scarf and the little heart that's on his scarf. Try not to get lines, like solid lines. Move around and wipe those lines out if you start getting them. Okay, get this other edge done. And I would suggest if you have a bigger short round or a bigger brush that you like to stipple and smoosh with, that you go ahead and use that. So you see how I'm kind of overlapping the lower part of his body with this upper part. A little line there, so I'm going to go in and kind of smoosh it out. And we're getting close. Oh, but then there's more smooshing to come. I need a little bit more paint. Didn't put quite enough out. Slowly but surely. Snowman. At least we didn't have to roll it up and put on gloves. I think the next time I paint this, I would definitely use a larger smoosher. Okay, first coat on. So now, I just threw my pattern on the floor. You want to notice that the center of his face is a little to the left of center. So I want to smoosh this again, but I'm going to start smooshing in the center of his face and work my way out. I want the brightest area to be in the center of his face. So I'm just going to go in a circle. And as I run out of paint, I kind of move towards the outside of him, of the snowman a little bit. So I brightened up the center of his face a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing on his body. I'm going to kind of just a little left of center. And I also want to kind of brighten up this lower edge of the middle section a little bit. Just because it's hanging over that bottom section. We want to make sure you can tell that. Okay, and now I also want it to lighten up this bottom section just a little bit in the same way. I'm not going to take it all the way up to that middle section. I want to keep that shadow in there. Okay, I say that's a pretty darn cute pink snowman. So let's scrub out our brush, dry it, and set it to the side. And we need to let this dry a little bit, and then you can put the pattern on for his face and for the little heart-shaped buttons, and we'll be back. All right, got the pattern on as light as I can. One of the first things I want to do is I want to give him some cute little cheeks. I'm going to do that with
Royal Fuchsia
plus a touch of warm white. I don't want it to be quite as dark as fuchsia, and I just brush mix that. Pick up a little fuchsia, pick up a little warm white, and scrub it around on my palette till I get a nice soft pink. So, and his cheeks are going to sit right above his mouth but below his eye. Okay, nice big round cheeks, and he has two of them, so the other one is going to sit the same place. And you can just do the same big round circle because his nose will cover it up. Now I feel like I might have got those a little dark, so I'm going to come back with a little warm white and just kind of tone them down a little bit. I like that a little better. So you see, you can always fix things. All right, so he has nice cheeks. So we're going to work on his nose, and just like every other snowman that I build, I'm going to be using an orange, a yellow, and a brown. So we're going to pull out some spiced pumpkin, If you don't have spiced pumpkin, you can use burnt orange. So I want some spiced pumpkin. I want some moon yellow. And I want some burnt umber. All right. So now you're going to need a round brush. I think I want a little bit smaller round than that. Let me see what I have here. This one doesn't have a size on it, so that's not any good. I don't even know. This is a scarf. Nope, not going to use that. I'll stick with this. I believe it might be a 4 round, but its size is worn off. And so what I want to do, no water. I'm not going to pick up any water, and I'm going to get in closer for you. And I'm going to pick up that spiced pumpkin. Load my brush up pretty good. And what I want to do is I want to paint this with shape following strokes. So it gives me the look of a carrot that's kind of rough and you know, they're not just triangles. They're not just orange triangles. They have some indentations and some different little lines in them. So I'm going to start at the back, the wide side, and what I mean by shape following is I'm going to curve this stroke to follow the shape of that, what I'm going to call it, my carrot. So I'm just going to go through and paint in that carrot using those shape following strokes with a spiced pumpkin. Okay, so don't paint them straight up and down. Don't stroke them on there straight up and down. Think like a carrot. It's kind of curved and it has ridges. That was the word I was searching for earlier. It sucks getting old. You can't find your words as easily. So I'm going all the way to the tip, and when I get to the tip I just kind of tap it in there. Okay, so that's my thing, my base of my carrot nose. So now I'm going to just wipe out that brush, and I want to pick up some moon yellow on my brush, and I'm going to start at the top, and again using shape following strokes I am going to stroke on what I'm calling the highlight. Okay, try not to end these this yellow all in the same place. If you do, it'll be okay. I mean, but again, when you get to the end, you just kind of tap it off. Okay, so I'm going to turn my piece over so I can work on the bottom of his nose. Again, I'm going to wipe out my brush. This time I'm going to pick up some burnt umber on it, and I'm going to stroke in the shadow, the lower edge of my carrot. Again, don't stop in the same place. If you get up into the yellow that you stroked, that's okay. But just keep using those shape following strokes. And again, when you get to the bottom, to the tip, you can just tap it off. All right, so now the carrot looks like it has ridges. And if you were to look at it like this way and put some green leaves coming out of the top of it, it would look like a carrot. It wouldn't look like an orange triangle. So I'm washing my brush out now, and I'm going to pick up some warm white. And what I want to do is I want to tap a highlight across the top of the nose But I'm going to start it not on the very top edge, but just a hair below the top edge. Okay, and I'm just going to tap all the way along that nose, just to highlight that nose a little bit. I think I want to bring this one down a little bit more. All right, we have one more thing that we'll do to this nose, but we need the nose to be dry first. All right, so let's go ahead and paint in his eyes and the little pieces of coal for his mouth with lamp black. Well, you know what? Let's do something first. Let's take our liner brush and thin down a little royal fuchsia. Water it down, make it liner consistency. And what I want to do is I want to line a shadow above each eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on about halfway down on one side of the eye on the tip of my liner brush, and then as I come around the top of the eye, I flatten that out, and then I bring it back up to the tip on the other side of the eye. I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye, about halfway down on the tip. As I come around the top, I flatten and then come back up to the tip on the other side. I also want to line the shadow on the right side of each of those pieces of coal that are his mouth. Okay, and this is with thinned royal fuchsia. And you might as well go ahead and line a shadow to the right side of each of the heart buttons, just to set them into the snowman a little bit. All right, now we can go ahead painting the eyes and the mouth with lamp black. And yes, my eyes are always not the same size. I just like making them goofy. All right. One down. Okay. And now we're going to also paint in those little mouthpieces. Okay. Getting there. And one of those mouthpieces is kind of under the nose, so you only paint half of it. All right. So, I know I said I didn't want to bring in a blue, but I have to bring in blue because I can't give him pink eyes. I mean, that would look sick. So I'm going to go grab a blue and we'll continue working on his face. All right, I decided to pull out Moody Blue. It's kind of one of my favorite blues. And it's not bright, it's still kind of pastel-y, I guess is what you'd say. And so I remember I said there's one more thing to do to the nose, and that is going to be to float some very well blended out, I mean, so just corner load a little tiny bit of Moody Blue and blend it out nice. And we're going to float that along the bottom edge of the nose, and that's just going to make it look cold. Doesn't take a whole lot. Okay, there we go. So now we're also going to float a C-stroke float of Moody Blue in the bottom of each eye. And now, if you've painted with me at all, you know that when I do this in the eyes, I don't set it right down in the very bottom of the eye. I kind of set it just a hair above the bottom, so that leaves a little sliver of that lamp black in the bottom of the eye. Okay, so I'm floating just some Moody Blue, a nice little C-stroke in the bottom of that eye. And we're going to come back and highlight this so it'll show up a little bit more. And I'm not doing it to the buttons. Okay, so I made that eye a little wonky. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it that way or not. We'll see. Okay, so now I've got that blue in the bottom of the eye. I'm going to take my liner brush, pick up a little Moody Blue, and pick up a little warm white to make a lighter value of Moody Blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line a highlight through the center of that blue stroke, that blue C stroke that I put in the bottom of the eye. Okay. Just going to wipe out that brush, pick up a little bit more warm white, and line an even brighter little highlight in the bottom of those eyes. Just in the center there. What I want to do now is I want to give him some little eyelashes. I'm going to do that with thinned lamp black and my liner brush. And I'm just going to set my liner brush down in the top center of his eye, and then I'm just going to push it out and squiggle it, just to give him some fuzzy little eyelashes. Because all my snowmen have eyelashes. I mean, you know, I don't know if I've ever really built a snowman. In person, I mean, with real snow. All right. And then what I want to do is I want to take my liner brush and straight warm white, and I'm just going to add a little stroke of warm white in his eyes, and then a little slash of warm white that straddles the black and the blue, if that makes any sense. You also want to line a little highlight on each of those mouth pieces with warm white. has some twigs that are his hair. And I'm going to put those on with burnt umber. So think like a twig. On the pattern, they're just little lines. So, see if I can remember where I put them. I think, yeah, there's one here. So they're going to start inside, down below the edge of his head. And what I'm going to do, it's thin, thick, it's like a twig. And I'm going to add little arms to them. Let's see, and you can put as many of these as you want. And they can have 2 or 3 arms, whatever. They're little twigs that are stuck in like his hair. And let's see, let's do another one. Yeah, right about here. Might not be right exactly where the pattern is, but oh well, it'll work. And let's do one over here. I didn't want to put a hat on him. I just didn't feel like he needed a hat. But he needed something, or she, or whoever this is. And if you want to make them longer, you can. And then one more. And maybe right about here. He might need another one over here. I'm not sure. Let me look at him. Yeah, maybe one in the middle here. It's kind of a big space. Okay, I think that'll do. And what we want to do is we want to take that liner brush and some thinned royal fuchsia again, and just line a little royal fuchsia shadow at the base of each of those twigs, so they're kind of stuck into his head. They're not just floating there. Got to give them some place to stick in. All right. So let's decide what color we're going to paint our scarf. I really think maybe straight baby pink would be really good. Well, let me see if I can find my big. There it is. So I will back up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and base in that scarf with baby pink. Maybe baby pink plus a little touch of royal fuchsia. Baby pink's awful light. So I'm just, it's probably 2 parts baby pink to 1 part royal fuchsia. So I'm just going to paint in maybe a little bit more royal fuchsia. Yeah. Okay, 1 to 1, okay? I'm just going to paint in this scarf. Very carefully. You don't have to do it carefully unless you want to. Yeah, I think that was the right call. Okay, and it doesn't have to be blended completely. It can be a little unblended. It'll be okay. And we have those two tails. Okay. Looking pretty good. Looking kind of Valentine-y. One tail. Okay. Nice pink scarf. I'm going to go ahead and paint those hearts in with berry cobbler. A fairly new color. If you have a stencil, you could stencil those hearts on. Whatever works for you. Okay. So there are 4 hearts, 3 little ones, and 1 larger one. Alrighty. And let's do that bigger one with a little bit bigger brush. Alrighty. That looks pretty good. Trying to stay in the pink. Alright, so I need this to dry, and then we'll come back and we'll work on the scarf and those hearts. Alright, let's work on the scarf. And what I want to do is I want to dry brush some highlighting through the center of each section with baby pink plus warm white. I need a lighter value baby pink. Baby pink wouldn't be just not light enough. So I'm going to just, excuse me, lighten it up a little bit with warm white. And I just did that on the palette, mixed it with my brush. So I'm just going to scrub some highlighting through the center of this scarf. And I'm going to go down the center of each of the tails. And I really don't know what these are called on scarves. I just always call them tails. Alright, and as long as we're dry brushing the highlight, let's pick up more baby pink. You don't have to wash your brush out. And let's dry brush a highlight on this heart. I'm going to do it in the tops, kind of through the center of that heart. Okay, and then if you can get in your little hearts with your brush, that'd be great. Just a little bit. Scrub a little bit in there. Okay. You can wash that brush out. So I want to line a little plaid on this scarf. And I think I'm going to do it with warm white and berry cobbler, not mixed together. So I'm just going to pick up some warm white, thin it down with my liner brush. And what I want to do is I want to flatten this liner brush out so it's kind of got a square tip. So I get a little bit wider line, and I'm going to line this plaid on. Let me add a little water to that, thin it down a little bit. Okay. And I think you can see that I'm not lining that straight up and down. It's following the curve of that scarf, okay? Gets a little straighter as it gets closer to the heart. Right. And then let's line on our tails. They can be a little straighter. Okay. And if you don't want to do a plaid, you can do dots or checks or whatever you like. Let's get this other one. And now I want to line a couple of horizontal lines. So I think I want to start upside down like this so that I can start at the outside edge. And it's only going to be a couple. Again, follow the shape of the scarf. We'll do a couple on the tails. Alrighty. I'm going to line a thinner plaid in between these with thinned berry cobbler. So you don't have to flatten out the brush this time. You can keep it up on its point. And I think I'm going to line it kind of right next to the white. And let's go above. Oh, that's cute. So these, I'll go right next to it. Just take your time. It's not a race. And again, above. There we go. It's looking pretty cute. So I need to float some shading on this scarf. Let me just make sure that plaid is dry before I do that. And I'm going to do that with berry cobbler. Sorry, I have hiccups or something. So just a side load float of berry cobbler. I'm going to go right next to the heart. I want that a little bit wider. And I'm going to go at the back side. I'm going to go next to the heart on the tails. I'm going to go on the ends of the tails. Okay, let's go in between the tails to separate them from each other. And let's go top and bottom of the part that's around his neck. And let's go up, down both sides of each tail. Oops, didn't get a blob of paint there. Still got a blob of paint there, but we'll make it work. Okay, it's looking pretty good. If I say so myself, again. We want to float a highlight in each of these hearts. We're going to do that with baby pink. So I'm only going to float in the tops, the humps of the heart. Even those itty bitty ones. Kind of fill up, but it'll be okay. And then I want to float shading in the bottom of those hearts. I think I'm going to do that with cranberry wine. So another new color. And that's going to go down in the bottom, the point of the heart. And even on those little ones. I do want to come back to my snowman and float some very well blended out royal fuchsia underneath the scarf, just to set it above the snowman's body a little bit. So it's not real dark. And let's go ahead and float a little bit underneath the center section. And you notice I'm making it kind of squiggly to separate it from the bottom. Let's see. We need to line some warm white highlights on our scarf and our heart. So liner brush, thin down your paint a little bit, and let's line a highlight across the top of the scarf. It's just like a little thin comma stroke across there. And let's do it on the upper side of each of the ties. It might end up right on a white plaid, but that's okay. Let's line ourselves some fringe with warm white. Doesn't have to be as thin down as liner consistency. Getting close. And let's do some highlights in our hearts. I think I want to go on this side. Oops, don't like that. I'll go ahead and take that off. I didn't have my brush loaded good. And let's do a little highlight in each little heart. Just one. Okay. How's it looking there, kids? Yeah, I think that's nice. So let's let this dry. Put the pattern on for our lettering, and I'll be back. All right, pattern on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a number 4 liner, and again I'm going to flatten that brush out a little bit so I can get a little bit thicker line, and I am going to paint this lettering on with Berry Cobbler. I think that'll be a good color. So again, a little bit flatter, not a pointy tip. And just take your time. Sometimes I like to go along and do all my verticals in a row first, and then come back and do my horizontals. And let's see, let's get this apostrophe in here. Okay. Seems to be going pretty good. Probably shouldn't have said that. So just take your time, let it flow. Almost there. And of course, you know me, I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to line a shadow next to each letter, left side, with thinned
Royal Fuchsia,
just to make them a little more interesting. I'll go ahead and use that number 4 liner. It's the beginning of the new year. I can't talk. So just a little line to the left side of each letter. And see how much that just kind of helps that lettering pop a little bit more. I think we have like one more thing to do, and we can add our hanger back on and call this guy done. I hope you've had fun. I hope this gets you back into painting after all the holidays. Three more letters. Yay. Alrighty. Okay, the last thing I want to do is I want to add some stitching or a squiggly line around the border of this, because I think I need something that when I look at this, I see it and my eye travels completely off the piece. So what I want to do is I want to add a little border around here that will then stop my eyes so that I spend more time looking at all this wonderful work that we did. And so I'm going to take, I think this number 4 liner again, and some thin down warm white. And I think I'll just do a squiggly little line. And I am going to go over my pink little snowman. And I'm just going to add this little border line. If you want to do stitching, you can do stitching. If you want to do checks, you can do checks. You can do whatever you like. If you don't want to do anything at all, that's fine too. But I think you can even tell already that this kind of stops your eye from going completely off the piece and makes people spend a little bit more time admiring your work. Now, if you don't want them to admire your work, I guess you could not put a line on there. It's completely up to you. But this is quick and easy, and it's just a way to, it just makes it look better, I think. Border always helps. All right, my friends. I am going to call this guy done. Let's see, we can back up a little bit more so you can see the whole thing. I appreciate you being here. I think I'll add a wire hanger and maybe a cute little bow up here because there's extra space here. And you've got your first Valentine decoration for the new year. I appreciate you being here, taking time out of your day to spend it with me, and I hope to see you again next month.